Good evening, and thank you for joining us this evening for our city council meeting. We'll go ahead and get started. Wendy, could you please call the roll?
Here.
Here.
Mansfield,
Here.
Marchand,
Here.
Nichols,
Here.
Black,
Here. I might just mention that Councilwoman Lorick was feeling under the weather, and so she felt it would be better to protect everybody in the community and stay home for the night. So she wishes she would be here. And I have another announcement with our invocation, but if you'd please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, after which, if you'd remain standing, we'll have a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Pastor Dinger, the Grace volleyball team made it to state, and he said he would be praying, but not here tonight. So he's enjoying the state tournament for volleyball right now with them, and so that's. I told him that's where he needed to be anyway, and so it's great to have that kind of support from him. So thank you very much. We'll move to agenda item number 3 is a consent agenda. The following business items may be approved by one motion and a vote. If any one member of the council so desires, any matter listed can be moved to a separate agenda item. A, material claims. Council may wish to approve the material claims for the period of September 16 through 30, 2023. B, Historic Preservation Commission reappointment. Council may wish to confirm the mayor's reappointment of Rita Casabianca to continue serving as a member of the Historic Preservation Commission. Ruta's term will begin October 16, 2023, and will expire October 16, 2026. C, Pocatello Regional Airport Commission appointment. Council may wish to confirm the mayor's appointment of Patricia Francisco to serve as a member of the Pocatello Regional Airport Commission, replacing Mike Ennis, who resigned. Patricia Francisco's term will begin October 6, 2023, and will expire December 8, 2025. D, council decision, final plat approval, Brock Place subdivision. Council may wish to adopt this decision approving a subdivision of approximately 4.69 acres of land into 46 lots, generally located southeast of the intersection of Brock Drive and Philbin Road, subject to conditions.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes, Council President.
Mr. Mayor, I'd move for approval of the consent agenda items A through D as outlined in agenda item number 3.
Second.
We have a motion by Cheatham and a second by Mangum. Wendy, could you please call the roll?
Cheatham,
Yes.
Mangum,
Yes.
Mansfield,
Yes.
Marchand,
Yes.
Nichols,
Yes.
Thank you. We'll move to agenda item 4, which is a proclamation. We have no proclamations tonight, so we'll move to agenda item 5. Agenda item 5 is a calendar review. Council may wish to take this opportunity to inform other council members of upcoming meetings that should be called to their attention. On October 12, 9 a.m. will be a work session. October 16, 6 p.m. will be City Council Town Hall meeting. October 19 at 5:30 p.m. will be a clarification meeting. At 6 p.m. will be a regular City Council meeting. October 9th, Columbus Day and Indigenous Peoples Day, city offices will remain open during the holiday. Sanitation Department collection trucks will remain on their regular schedule. October 14, Zoo Idaho's October Fest at 4 p.m. at the zoo. Zoo Idaho will remain open on weekends only through October 29. October 16, early voting begins October 16 at Bannock County Elections Office, 141 North 6th Avenue. Voting hours are 8:30 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. The last day to vote early is November 3. Election day is November 7. Looking ahead at October 28, the annual National Make a Dogs Day event will take place at Philmeter Subaru dealership located at 1437 Yellowstone Avenue from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Pocatello Animal Shelter will have adoptable animals on site and offer discounted adoption fees. Thanks to Subaru. Okay, we'll move to agenda item 6, daycare employee license denial appeal, Madison Saxton. Madison Saxton will be present to appeal a revocation of her child care employee license, which was revoked by the police department. Madison, or your...
I'll speak on behalf of Madison,
Okay.
if that's okay.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Members of the council, I appreciate you letting me come and speak before you for a few minutes. My name is Ben Nielsen. I'm an attorney with Loveless, Nielsen & Loveless here in Pocatello, and I represent Madison Saxton in an attempt to have the revocation of her daycare license rescinded. I've handed out to everybody. There are a few informal exhibits, and I'll go through each of those briefly. I won't take very much time tonight. Before I do that, I just want to touch base on Madison and do a very brief sketch. Madison Saxton is 22 years old. She graduated in 2019 from Highland High School. She graduated with a solid almost 3.0. You can see that from her GPA there. Since she graduated from high school, and actually before, she's proven herself to be a very productive member of our community. You can see in her, and we'll get to it in a second, but when we get to her, can I think of the name? Her transcript, excuse me. You can see that as early as her senior year in high school, not yet graduated, she was already looking forward to try and take care of children. She has some peer tutors in her last semester, and before that, she had some early childhood professional classes that she took. Beneath the resume, which is the first exhibit you guys have, there are reasons that I asked her to give me for why she left. You'll notice that in her resume, first of all, she currently works at LA Semiconductors. She was there originally a few years back, and she went back after Stepping Stones Daycare, which is the subject of this appeal, that place closing down. After that closed down, she went back to LA Semiconductor, and they were kind enough to give her job back. She also works currently as a supervisor for Bannock County Family Court Services. Lacey Parker has a reference letter in there that talks about her being trained in that capacity, and she still does that. Well, let me withdraw that. She would do that if it weren't for the license revocation, but she was doing that up until the time her license was revoked. You can see from her little sketch as to why she left those jobs that none of those jobs fired her, and she never did anything untoward. Those weren't the reasons why she left any of those jobs. She was just moving forward in her life. As I said, next is her transcript. Beneath that, you'll find a fairly glowing letter from Lacey Parker, Family Court Services Manager for Bannock County, with whom I work extensively, almost every day, as a matter of fact. She's the person who trained Madison to do the supervised visitation, and she gave her a glowing review and said she's capable and competent. Like I said, she was still doing that up to the time this incident occurred. By the way, I know you guys have seen other people on this, and so you're probably somewhat familiar with the incident. It happened either the 19th or the 20th of April of this year. Underneath that, you'll find another letter from her friend that not only enthusiastically vouches for Maddie, but also talks about how she has in the past and will continue in the future to trust Maddie with her own children, which I think is pretty good. Finally, there's her criminal history, which up until this situation has included not much to speak of. She has a couple of infractions, and then, as you know, she was charged with 2 injury to child misdemeanors. There is a video, and you'll have to forgive me, I don't know to what extent the council has reviewed any of this evidence, the actual evidence of the alleged crime for any of the people that have been here before. But so if I'm retreading ground that you guys are already aware of, please forgive me, I'll be brief about it. There's a video that proposes to show what happened and the basis for the crime being charged, and there's also a police report. I've certainly read the police report and I've reviewed the video. The video that is pertinent to this case is about 5 minutes, and my client is sitting there doing her job. You can't really see her face. You can see her from about the knees down. It's just a video camera, as you would expect, that's in the room, and there are a whole bunch of children in there. It does meet ratio. The classroom meets ratio, but again, I'm not here to defend anything about stepping stones, just Maddie. She was in there. There was another adult. Actually, I'm not sure what the other. There was another person that wasn't a child, that wasn't one of the cared for children, but was a minor. But I think she was employed by Stepping Stone. She was there reading to the children. For 3 to 5 minutes, my client can only be seen from the knees down. You can't see which way she's facing. You can't see what she's doing. In the police report, you'll read when the police officer asked her, "What were you doing?" Well, the behavior that I'll get to in a second was going on. She said, "I know exactly what I was doing. I was checking my app." I can't remember the name of the app, but as I'm led to understand, it's basically an app that all the daycare providers have there that is like, you go through and Billy had his Cheerios, check. You know, Susie had her diaper change, check, whatever. It takes her about 5 minutes to do. She does it every day, and she has to. It's not an optional part of her job. It's something she has to do. So she was doing that. This is very informal. Obviously, if I were in court, I'd be doing something different. But if you can imagine, she's over here to the right as the camera's looking at the room. She's over to the right. There's a little cubby in between her, and that separates her from 2 of the kids. And these 2 kids are the little boys that the inappropriate behavior was allegedly occurring between. And I don't want to get too in detail, and I don't want to be vulgar in any way. Essentially, it boils down to this. One of the boys pulled his pants down. The other boy is alleged to have poked him potentially in the anus, although I think it's important to note that that's not what the video shows. He never shows that he did that. So what we have is a boy pulling down his pants repeatedly and for a couple of minutes, but that's what he did. I'm familiar with sexual crimes, as I know Mr. Johnson, city attorney, is. It wouldn't rise to the level of any of that, and that's why none of those things were charged. Basically, he pulled down his pants, and the other little boy poked him in the bum. It went on for a few minutes, and the argument, certainly the basis for this alleged crime, is that Maddie should have seen. Maddie should have seen and stopped it. She did eventually, because someone came to the door, a parent, and said, "Hey, what's going on there?" She went over, took them apart, brought the little boy that was the one that was alleged to have done the inappropriate behavior, and talked to him for quite a while. I think it's important to note that when she brought him over, the nature of the room is such that she had to. I mean, this was not voluntary. She had to talk to this little boy because the behavior was inappropriate. While she was talking to him, any of a number of things could have happened in the background. This same thing could have happened between other children. It didn't, because you can see on the video nothing untoward is happening. But it is impossible for her to see everything all at once. She was doing a part of her job at the time. She never did anything, from what I can see in the video and from what was reported on the police report, anything that could be identified as malicious or wrong or even negligent. Matt Curbs, Pocatello City prosecutor assigned to this case, we had a pretrial 2 weeks ago. I think it was 2 weeks ago, because we were supposed to be here last week and we had to move it. We were there 2 weeks ago, and I hasten to add that I know these cases are different. Your decision on whether or not to rescind her revocation is completely up to you, and it has nothing to do with the city attorney, and I understand. Same with him. He can move forward. If you give her back her license today, he can move forward nonetheless and try to get a conviction. They're different. But he did say, and I appreciate him agreeing with me, that in the hierarchy of alleged crimes that occurred that led to the shutting down of Stepping Stone's daycare, my client's actions or inactions were at the very bottom of the pile, and from my obviously biased perspective, should not have even made the list. I mean, she got caught up in something much bigger than what she did or maybe didn't do, and I think the law enforcement felt they needed to charge everybody that might have done something wrong. When I talked to Matt Curbs, he candidly indicated that I'm interested to see what the council does. He did not say, and again, he would yell, stand up and object if I said he did this. He didn't. He did not say, if the council rescinds it, I will dismiss. But I'm not even going to say there was a hint of that. He's interested in knowing what the city council wants because he does not think this rises to the level of a very egregious crime. And most importantly, and I know the council already knows this, the ordinance that is controlling here is ordinance 5.28210. And I should have printed that out. I'm sorry, I only have my one copy. But it indicates, and I know you guys have had these before, so you know what is required. It has a list of things that revocation of a daycare license can come under. The very first one, with respect, the only one that I think comes anywhere close here is number 1, having been found guilty, pled guilty to, or admitted to conduct constituting a violation of criminal law regardless of the form of the judgment. Now, I have to be candid and be honest here. Right above there, it says examples of conduct or events which can pose a risk to children and are therefore grounds for denial, suspension, or revocation include, but are not limited to. So I recognize she doesn't have to be convicted for the council to revoke her license, but that's what they anticipated. You know, innocent until proven guilty. I think whoever put these together anticipated you'd be not just charged, but convicted of a crime. I don't think, maybe I'm being foolishly optimistic, I don't think she will be convicted of this crime, hopefully not any crime. Members of the council, she is just starting out in her life. She's done her level best, and I think that level best includes the effort she made that day. She has tried hard. You can see that from the time she was in high school, she made it her goal to do this, to care for children on a permanent basis throughout her life, and I think it would be a disservice both to her and the children she might care for if the council did not rescind that, at least until you determine what might happen in the criminal case. If she's convicted, it's a different story. I can acknowledge that. If she's not convicted, this is her looking down to do a different part of her job while something unfortunate, but certainly not criminal. I'm happy. I've never done one of these, so I'm happy to take questions if you'd like, but that's all I have.
Good. Councilmember Mansfield, any other questions? Then Nichols.
What was the duration of Madison's employment at Stepping Stones?
I don't know. 2 months.
Of what period, approximately?
Well, that when they closed down, it was April 19th or 20th, so the 2 months prior to that.
Okay, so we'd say February to April, roughly.
That sound right?
Okay.
Oh, she indicates she quit before they shut down.
Can I ask why?
Why you quit?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're welcome to answer.
Well, I wasn't getting.
Madison, if you'd please stand up, and then if you would state your name for.
My name's Madison Saxton. While I was working at the daycare, towards the end, I wasn't getting bathroom breaks very often, and I just felt like I was getting overworked and had way too many children at the time to take care of, and that's just not something that I was comfortable with doing.
Okay.
Do you have?
What class of children did you work with, Madison?
3-year-olds.
3-year-olds? And can you remind me, I guess better yet, which teachers did you work with while you were with the 3-year-olds?
Like, which other classroom teachers that I worked with?
Correct, yeah.
The 4-year-old's teacher.
Who was
Her name was Marcy
Marcy? Do you remember Marcy's last name?
Martinez. And then the girl that was in the class with me, she was, I think, 16 or 17. Do you want me to state her name?
Sure.
Her name was O'Shane. I don't know her last name.
Okay. Okay, that's all my questions.
Okay. Councilmember Nichols.
So what were you charged with?
Injury to child, 2 counts.
2 counts. So why 2?
I don't know. I don't know why they charged me.
You know, there were 2 episodes of the same episode, but one charge?
It's all from the same chunk of time on the video, as near as I can tell. And the prosecuting attorney, when we met with him at the pretrial, wasn't able to indicate to me why there were 2 charges.
And,
That may be a question for staff.
right. And as far as you know, charges were as a result of lack of action, not any particular action.
Right,
Is
no
that right?
affirmative action. I think it
Right.
would be an absence of attention or something like that. That's probably the way they would say it. I don't want to put words in their mouth.
Right, right. And you don't feel that fits within the definition of the code?
I don't think so. If you look at, and I don't have the injury to child statutory language in front of me, but there is an intent. There is an intent required. Negligence can be a contributing factor. Mr. Johnson knows at least as much about this as I do, but I don't think it meets the burden.
Do you know what the timeline for the criminal charges would be? Do you know when those are apt to be decided?
Oh, yes. I can tell you. We reset the pretrial for another date, and I'll tell you right now when the second pretrial is set to be heard, October 12th, so next Thursday.
This is just another pretrial.
Another pretrial. They haven't set it for trial yet, either jury or bench.
So if you had to guess on when this might be fully adjudicated, assuming it went that direction, how long that might be?
If it went to an actual trial
Right.
and we couldn't get anything resolved with
Right.
the city attorney, probably a few months.
Okay. All right, thank you.
No problem.
Okay, Councilmember Marchand.
So you do know that we're not trying to decide the criminal charges, right? It doesn't have anything to do with it. I understand what you're saying, right, when you bring those things up, but that truly should mean nothing to us.
Completely
right?
different cases.
It's, yeah, exactly. I mean, not even considered. When I look at that, I don't even consider the criminal charges, what's going on with it, what the actions are. All I want to look at is what happened, right? And try to figure out why it happened and should it have happened, right? Whether it's criminal or not, I don't care. It may not be criminal to a point. You may think that, right? She may think that, but if the child you feel was in danger or not taken care of, I think that's what we're looking at here. Okay, so I just kind of want to lay out the ground rules. I understand what you're saying, but when I listen to the whole thing, I'm not concerned about the criminal charges. That's a whole different thing that somebody else is going to take care of at a different date. All I want to do is look at what happened and then make a decision from that.
To a degree, with respect, I agree with you. However, the rules do talk about criminal convictions. They do give a list of things that would, and it's not exhaustive, I understand. It's not everything that's on the list that could, but things that would, in the rules purview, qualify to disqualify her from doing it. And the very first one is a conviction. So, and then it lists several other specific ones that you would expect. You can't do drugs, right? You can't go out and hurt children.
Right.
If you've done these things, then you could be disqualified. But it never identifies in that list what she allegedly did. That's just not on the list. And so that's where I have to start for my argument, is what's on the list.
In regards to the city ordinance is what you're talking
But
about,
I certainly
right?
understand your
Okay,
position.
right.
Councilmember Mansfield.
One follow-up question. Did you ever make any reports to management or any agencies about concerns that you had regarding the overworking number of children or any other conditions that you observed at Stepping Stones?
No.
Okay.
Councilmember Mangum.
So, Ms. Madison, one of the ordinances here talks about reporting abuse and neglect and abandonment. So after this incident happened and you separated the children, did you go to management and report this incident?
No, I did not. The reason for that was because when the parent came and told me that something had been okay, so when the parent that he was talking about came to the gate and told me something was going on, what he said didn't add up to me when I went over there at that time. And at that point in time, we had gotten our cameras taken away from the facility, so we weren't able to look at them. But I did let the manager know the next day.
So you did report it?
Yeah, the next day.
Okay.
Not right at that second, sorry.
So did you report exactly what was described as it had happened, or that just there was some incidents? Or how
I told her what the parent had told me.
Okay.
Quick question.
Yeah.
Follow up.
Scott?
So you just said the cameras were gone. Where did the cameras go?
Well, like the DVR that we could go and look, like my owner could go and look, they had gone to licensing, I believe.
I think.
To where?
I think we
Police have
took
taken
them to,
Got taken.
But I thought you said you quit before this happened.
No, I quit before the daycare got shut down. The daycare got shut down.
Okay, there was an incident
Yeah,
and then you later quit. Okay, all right. Thank you.
sorry.
we might get some more timeline clarification from Mallory.
Right.
Yeah, sorry, I don't know all of the times I got.
That's okay. You're fine. Any other questions now? Okay, we'll listen to the other, to Mallory, and then we'll probably have you back up for a minute.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor Blad, council members. My name is Mallory Baskin with licensing at the Pocatello Police Department. So I've provided you with a small packet labeled Madison Saxton. It includes her cover sheet to her most recent daycare license application, which she signed indicating that she had reviewed and understood City Ordinance 5.28 for childcare and that she agreed to adhere to the rules and regulations set forth in that chapter. Her notice of revocation, which indicates that her license was revoked for failing to report abuse, abandonment, or neglect of a child under 18 years of age. Her appeal letter, and then a letter from a parent asking that all revocations be upheld for the time being. On May 4th, Officer Higbee took a report of a possible sexual assault at Stepping Stones Preschool and Child Care. A parent reported that they had witnessed a child with their pants down and buttocks bared, exposing themselves to other children. That parent reported that they had witnessed one child take a toy and insert it between the other child's bare buttocks. Detective Garner was later assigned follow-up on that investigation, and during the course of her investigation, she found video of the reported incident. So I just want to note that the reported incident occurred on April 18th. We did take the DVR the following day on the 19th. In reviewing footage from the facility, which we obtained after serving a search warrant for the DVR, Detective Garner found that the incident in question involved a group of approximately 5 children who were in a room with a teacher, later identified as Madison, and there was another teacher in the room who was with a group of children reading at the time. Though Madison was in the room with the children, they were unsupervised for approximately 5 minutes while she sat at a table in the corner. She appeared to be facing away from the children, but from the angle of the video, it's not clear what she was doing during that time. During that time period, one child exposed their bare buttocks to 4 other children, and another child appeared to insert a toy between the first child's bare buttocks. The child kept their buttocks bared for several minutes until a parent entered the room and alerted Madison to what had been going on. We learned that although Madison may have alerted her supervisor to the incident, though the manager indicated that never happened, although she may have reported it, it was never reported to the Department of Health and Welfare or to law enforcement or the parents of the children who were involved in the incident. Additionally, of the employees that we spoke with, many were aware, but none could paint a clear picture of what had actually happened that day. Following Detective Garner's investigation, she charged Madison with 2 counts of injury to a child, and I revoked Madison's child care employee license for failure to report abuse, abandonment, or neglect of a child under 18. I do think it's important to note that in all of the footage that I've reviewed from the DVR, I've not seen any other issues directly involving the way Madison treated the children in her care. She appeared to be attentive to their needs. I did not notice her yelling or expressing frustration with the children, and she never handled the children aggressively. In accordance with City Code, if the revocation is upheld, Madison will not be able to reapply for a child care employee license from 1 year of the date of revocation. That is all the information I have for you guys this evening.
Mr. Mayor.
I've got Councilmember Nichols, Councilmember Mangum. Let's go to there. Go ahead.
Hi. So her license was revoked for this 5.28.190, the reporting?
Yes.
Is that the only issue?
Yes,
that it's
failure to
been
report the incident. All daycare employees are mandatory reporters, and so the report needs to be made to health and welfare and law enforcement, and that was never done.
Okay,
The parent is who eventually reported the incident.
right. And it says here they have just 24 hours to report? Is that right? And you dispute that she did report at all?
Yes. To my knowledge, she did not report it, and no one else at the daycare reported it. We did not find out about the incident, nor did health and welfare, until the parent reported it later on May 4th.
Okay, thank you.
Corey and then Josh.
So, on the same lines of reporting, would it be her responsibility to report to health and welfare herself or report to a manager? And then the manager report up, or because looking at the overall scope of the daycare itself, there was a lot of mismanagement, it seems like.
Yes.
And so if she would have reported to supervisor versus health and welfare, like does her responsibility lie?
Her responsibility does lie to reporting it to health and welfare, but I understand that if she reported it to her employer, she could assume that that would have been taken up, but it is the person's responsibility who witnesses it to take care of it and report it accordingly.
So as the provider, and notably so, we noticed that she wasn't the person who noticed the incidents. So does that create a gray area for her to report it?
Not in my opinion. She was made aware of the situation, and I think that more could have been done to make sure that the proper authorities were alerted so that it could be looked into in a reasonable amount of time.
Okay. Thank you.
Councilmember Mansfield.
I'm sure you've scoured more video since we've last seen you. On those video footage, are there any incidents that would rise to the level of mandatory reporting in which Madison is present?
Not that I've witnessed.
My second question, and Jared, cut me off if you need to, is there been any correspondence with former employees regarding that specifically identifies Madison or any behavior that she participated in? Because
I'm not sure I understand.
in the previous packet, there were correspondence from former employees that cited incidents with employees by name.
Oh, yes.
Was
there
Madison listed in any of those correspondence?
have not been any.
Okay.
On that same line, there was, of questioning, there were letters from parents also, not just staff. Were there any letters from parents that?
So I've included everything here that would pertain to Madison. There were no letters, there were no other complaints. And like I said before, in the footage that I saw of her, she was always very good with the children.
Okay, I've got,
I'm going to pass my questions when we get to the
okay.
rebuttal.
Councilmember Marchand.
So quickly, the revocation came from the ordinance, correct?
Correct.
When you read our city ordinance, it falls within that ordinance.
Yes, for failure to report the abuse.
So part of the issue here, I think you will agree with me, maybe not, is the chaos that went on at the daycare
Absolutely.
daily. So with that, she didn't see what happened, right? Is that how you're looking at it? It's
Correct.
It's
She
her
did not witness it. It was brought to her attention,
because of,
a parent.
but she didn't witness it because of the chaos, because she wasn't paying attention?
The room was
or
not-
do you know?
Surprisingly, the room was not particularly chaotic that day. There was a other teacher that was reading with a group of children, and then there was the small group of 5, as Mr. Nelson described, behind the little bookshelf, and then Madison was in the corner. And like I said, it's unclear, what she was doing.
So in your opinion, should someone have seen it?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
And, well, let me clarify.
Yeah.
Had she not seen it, but as soon as she was alerted to it, I think that it should have been reported and taken seriously. The amount of information that the parent provided to the officer about what he had witnessed does not line up with what any of the employees said was ever reported to them. But he said that he reported that this kid's got his pants down. He put a toy between his buttocks. And so, to me, that should have been grounds for alert that this needs to be looked into further. Maybe we should contact this parent and find out what he really saw.
Right. Well, I guess on my end of it, when I listened to this, right, it could have been something worse, right? I mean, who's watching the kids? I guess that's my question. Who's watching the kids? Okay, thank you.
Okay, Councilmember Mangum.
So Mallory, I vaguely remember, well, I have it written down, that I remember the owner of the daycare saying that incident was reported to her. Because to me, that felt like a super egregious incident that happened there. And so did you interview the owner of the daycare also to see if that was reported? Or?
Detective Garner interviewed her, and from my understanding, and I don't have the report in front of me, so I can't be certain, it was never really clear if it was reported to Kayla Fisher first and then kind of third party to Melanie, or if it was reported directly to Melanie. That was never made clear from them. Kayla and Melanie were both aware of the incident, and neither of them reported it either.
Okay, yeah, because I don't have it written down that Madison went directly to the owner, but I do have it written down that the owner did know about it. She was made aware.
There were many employees that were at least somewhat aware of it, and how all of that conversation transpired was never particularly clear.
Okay. Other questions? Okay, thank you. Do you have any other questions, Council? Council President Cheatham
For Madison,
from Madison, or
what was the response of your manager when you reported it the next day?
I don't really remember. I remember that I reported it directly to the owner, though, and
Okay.
then Kayla was standing there listening to what I was saying to the owner. I'm not. Let me think about what she did, because I'll think back to April. I'm not 100% sure.
Okay,
I'm
thank you.
trying to think, but if I think about it, I'll say it. I'm sorry.
That's okay. It's okay. Councilmember Mangum.
I apologize, but I need to ask Mallory one more question, if that's okay.
All right.
You had said that you had watched other portions of video and Madison's classroom was kind of well controlled or maintained. But we see another video that like it was just a crazy house. So sorry for that terminology, but it was just madhouse. So so consistently speaking, was her classroom pretty well organized, or was there instances of just like
She was
her?
very involved with the kids in the video that I saw. She took time to read with them. You can see her doing, I don't know if it's, practicing reading or crafts or whatever it is, but you can see her working with the kids on a regular basis. And the kids seem to be affectionate toward her. You can see her hugging them and them enjoying being around her. It wasn't yelling and screaming like a lot of the other videos that we saw.
Okay.
Before you leave, real quick, was there any, she was very organized and the kids enjoyed it. At any point, did you see any aggression? I know you said no, but any,
I never saw anything that would indicate that she was yelling at the children. In the other videos that we saw, there was kind of arms moving and you could tell people were shouting or yelling. I never saw that with Madison. I never saw her pick up a kid inappropriately by one arm. She always lifted them properly. I never saw her do anything physically aggressive with the children.
okay. Did you have another one? Anyone else? Okay, thank you. Mr. Nielsen, any final comments before the council deliberates, or?
If I could, yeah, I'll be brief.
That's fine. Take
I
the
wanna-
time you need.
Okay. I want to thank Councilmember Marchant for bringing me back on task. As the lawyer in the criminal matter, I think I've been too focused on the criminal matter, just like he said, because I think based on what Ms. Baskin talked about, this before you today isn't about the criminal matter at all, because she's not alleged to have been, in the criminal matter, she's alleged to have been doing something wrong by virtue of not seeing it, right? Here, she's alleged to have done something wrong by not reporting it, which she said she did. So number one, we have a conflict of testimonies. She just advised me, and she would say it if you want to hear it from her, that the owner at meetings would regularly say, if you see problems and they could be problematic, come to us, don't report it, or we will sue you. That's a problem. That's a problem to say to a 22-year-old girl. Secondly, if she did report it, this is one fact I didn't bring up, and I should have, and I'll bring it up now. I didn't tell you how she came to know what happened. She's sitting in there, she's doing her job, a person comes to the door. That person is a Hispanic person that speaks no English. The way that he brought it to her attention was by speaking through a Google app. He spoke through a Google translating app. She had no possible way of knowing what there was to report, or even if there was something to report other than bits and pieces from somebody who didn't share a language with her. And so she sat the boy down and talked to him. But the way I'm looking at this, and the way I think maybe law enforcement is looking at this, is with the benefit of having seen the video, but she hadn't. So she didn't know what there was to report. And when she found out, oh, there is a problem, she went to her boss, her owner, went straight to the top and told him. So my opinion on whether she committed a crime is not your problem, and it's neither here nor there. My opinion on whether or not she violated the ordinance, I think, is what you guys have to decide, and I don't think she did. That's all I have. Any questions for me?
So the person is talking through a translating app,
Yes.
and so it's unclear. However, how did we come to understand what had happened to then report it to the owner?
Because she sat down for a long time. If you look at the video, she sat down with that little boy for quite a while. I don't know if she talked to the other kids, but she talked to the little boy for quite a while. Presumably, she got at least that he had his pants down, right? And then I don't know what other information he gave her, but having talked to him for a long time, she went the next day and said, yeah, this happened, and it could be a problem.
Thank you.
Other questions for Ben by chance? Okay,
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
I first want to say that I feel it's really sad to be lumped into a group of this magnitude with this daycare and to be under this kind of scrutiny because of the operations of something like this. And I think that whenever we're caring for children, it has to be held with the utmost respect and honor, and we have to do our due diligence. For me, I don't necessarily see that it was, I get the severity of the issue, but I also don't, within the statute, regardless, I move that we would overturn the revocation of daycare license for Madison Sexton as outlined in Agenda Item 6.
Second.
Okay, council, we have a motion and a second. Motion by Mangum and a second by Cheatham. Would you like to discuss before we vote on it? I don't usually ask that question, but I'm getting
I do.
those. Okay.
I do. Because this, I agree, this is an incident where because of everything else that went on, right, she becomes part of this. But what I'm going to tell you is she's violated the ordinance. Okay? No matter how you look at it, she violated the ordinance. And if we have a problem with an ordinance, we need to fix that, and we tend not to do that. And I think they're working on it, but it becomes an issue, which brings us here, which makes it pretty tough. Should it have been seen? I think so. I think it should have been seen. Does she have a responsibility to report it? Yes, she does. Right? Yes, she does. She said she did it. I don't know if she did it. I don't remember the owner saying that Madison came to me and reported that. I don't know. That's just what's being said tonight. So I'm taking it on one end. Do I think she's done a good job? I think she probably has. I think she's done a great job there. But with that being said, there's an issue. And I don't know how I don't know how to get around it. I mean, I look at that ordinance and it's tough. And I understand that if we continue to keep her license, that probably puts her out of work for a while, a year at least. If we overturn it and she's involved in something else, then that's on us.
Corey?
I agree with that. However, though, there's no evidence to show any indication of future abuse or neglect, and we don't have a crystal ball to say what happens in the future. And within all of that chaos, if she's the one calm in this chaotic storm, and the reporting issue, that's really where it's kind of vague for me, because you get it, you report it to the manager, the owner. I understand that it's a tough decision, but I personally feel like we should overturn the revocation.
Any other comments?
Mr. Mayor?
Yeah.
You know, I guess I'm walking the line between those two comments. Madison is 22 years old. It looks like she missed one step. She failed to report to either Department of Health and Welfare or a law enforcement agency. She did everything else she was supposed to do. She got a little distracted by her phone for a couple of minutes, and a very minor thing happened. And I'll bet she never makes that mistake again. And I think tonight's discussion and what we've just gone through for the last, 45 minutes, will make an effect in the child care community within Pocatello. And I urge this council to forgive.
Well, I guess I look at part, sorry.
I was just going to say, well, go ahead, and I'll reserve whatever I say.
Part of it is you look at it and say it's minor, and I guess if that's your child or your grandchild, is it minor?
No.
So
It isn't that we're condemning her on. It's the reporting is what we're condemning her on. That's what our license revocation is based on. Simply did not contact law enforcement or health and welfare. And I think when you get into the rest of it, you're onto the criminal side.
Yeah, and
I
I don't
we-
want to
we
look
have
at
to
the
ignore
criminal.
that.
I don't want to look at the criminal end of it, but that's why we're here, right? Somebody has to report it. And I'm not saying that, I'm just saying I've listened to one side of the story. And I don't get to sit down and ask people, did she report it to you? Did she bring it to you? Did that happen? I don't know exactly what happened on the reporting end of it, all the way around. So that makes, for me, makes it a little bit tough. Do I think she's is good at her job? I'm sure she is. This is just, it's a tough situation, and I only get to hear half of the story, and that makes it tough for me.
Josh?
Jared, if we were to overturn the appeal and she is then convicted for the neglect or injury to a child, what would happen? Would that still result in the immediate revocation of her license?
I'm just reviewing 5.28.210, and it's very possible that if her license were reinstated tonight and a conviction were to occur in the pending criminal cases, that the license would be at that point revoked based on that.
Okay, and I might just say what I was thinking. I don't disagree with what Councilmember Marchand's saying, but I think we need to look at the letter of the law. I think you've got a difference between the letter of the law, which is what Councilmember Marchand's saying. The letter of the law says this, to the spirit of the law, and the spirit of the law says you need to report, and it sounds to me like Madison reported when she found it. And so my thought process is the spirit of the law was followed. The letter of the law, maybe not. And so I think that's a big thing. And it also sounds like, I don't know that she was distracted by her phone. I think that it sounds like she was reporting what she was supposed to do every day. And so I think that she was doing her job. And so that's where I'm looking at this. And I don't have a vote. I know what my vote would be right now, but I'm looking at the letter of the law or the spirit of the law, and I think that it was, I think that she followed the spirit of the law. It sounds like. So just for your consideration when you're voting on this stuff. So that being said, if I see no other deliberation, Wendy, we have a motion by Mangum and a second by Cheatham. Would you please call the roll?
Yes.
Yes.
You're a mandatory reporter, and if you see something or believe, please call law enforcement or an agency, because they would rather investigate and find it to be false than to not be called at all. Take that as education. Yes.
No.
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. Work with Mallory on getting it reinstated for you. Thank you. Yep. Yes, absolutely. Do we need to keep these? Do we need to keep these?
Probably best
Discuss and
to
price-
return everything but one copy for the official
Okay,
record.
one copy, you got that. So council, if you would do that, thank you.
Just the copy of the
The,
file that.
Yeah.
Keep the.
Yeah. Oh, are you collecting the other ones right now?
Madison's-
Okay.
Madison's file.
Do we have one official copy of this one?
Yeah,
You have
Connie
one?
has it.
Great, perfect. And you're collecting the other ones right now, Mallory?
Okay, thank you.
Okay, might as well.
Thank you, Ben.
That one. All right. Okay, thank you, council. Those are always hard. Thank you, I appreciate it. Okay, we'll move to agenda item 7, public hearing, resolution, foregone balance. This time has been set aside for council to hear comments from the public regarding a proposal to reserve the foregone amount for fiscal year 2024 in the amount of $589,827 for potential use in subsequent years as described in Idaho Code 63-802. Following a public hearing, council may wish to adopt a resolution to reserve the foregone amount of $589,827 for potential use in subsequent years in accordance with Idaho Code 63-802. I declare the public hearing open.
Honorable Mayor, Council, Gene Hill, Finance Department, City of Pocatello. Just real quick, if I can, I just wanted to let you know just how we arrived to the foregone. It's the total allowable taxable balance, which is $33,102,408, and then the total tax that the city took, which is $32,747,709, which leaves us the foregone balance of $589,829. Any questions?
Council President Cheatham?
What was the percentage of increase?
On the
It was
tax,
less than 3, but
Yes.
what did it amount to?
it was about, and again, we have not got final approval
I
from
know.
the county, so
Yeah,
it may change.
your best estimate.
Probably about 2.95. And it was only 48,000 on the general fund, so it's less than 0.25% on the general fund.
Okay, other questions? Okay. Let me see, hold on before you leave anywhere. Did we have any correspondence? Have you received any correspondence from anybody in your office that we have not seen?
No.
Okay, Madam Clerk, have we received any in your office?
No correspondence.
Okay, thank you. Then I would look for any testimony supporting the application. Any uncommitted to the application? Any opposed to the application? Okay, seeing none, then I declare the public hearing closed. Do I need to have a motion or just close it?
Just close it.
I
Need a motion to adopt a resolution.
Right, after we close the public hearing.
So I declare the public hearing closed. Council, how do you wish to proceed?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
I would move for adoption of the resolution to reserve the foregone amount of $589,827 for potential use in subsequent years in accordance with Idaho Code 63-802.
Second.
So we have a motion by Mansfield and a second by Mangum. Wendy, could you please call the roll?
Mansfield,
Yes.
Mangum,
Yes.
Cheatham,
Yes.
Marchand,
Yes.
Nichols,
Yes.
Thank you. Agenda item 8, final plat application, Jasmine Street, First Edition subdivision. Council may wish to approve a final plat application submitted by Sweet Equity Investments LLC to subdivide 6.56 acres, more or less, into 13 lots. The proposed subdivision is located east of the intersection between Jasmine Street and Dolstone Drive. Staff finds the proposal compliant with all applicable standards of Pocatello Municipal Code, assuming compliance with the conditions listed in the staff report.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes.
I would move to approve agenda item 8, approving final plat application for Sweet Equity Investments.
Sweat.
Sweat. Sorry, Sweat.
I said
Equity.
sweet. I said sweet too. That's my fault.
That messed me up.
Yeah. Sweat Equity.
Agenda item 8, let's just go there.
Yeah, there you
Agenda
go.
item 8.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion by Mangum and a second by Mansfield. And I take full responsibility for the sweet part. Wendy, could you please call the roll?
Mangum,
Yes.
Mansfield,
Yes.
Cheatham,
Yes.
Marchand,
Yes.
Nichols,
Yes.
Thank you. Agenda item 9, Bureau of Reclamation Water Smart Planning and Project Design Grant Application and Resolution. Council may wish to adopt a resolution and approve a grant application for the Bureau of Reclamation Water Smart Planning and Project Design Grant for fiscal year 2023-2024 for the Portneuf River Oxbow Restoration Project, and if awarded, authorize acceptance of the grant and approve the mayor's signature on all pertinent documents subject to legal department review. The total project cost is $522,500 and requires a 25% match equal to $130,625. Yes.
I would move to approve agenda item number 9 as listed.
Second.
We have a motion by Nichols and a second by Mangum. Did you want to say something? Ken?
Yeah, I'd just like to say this is a great project. I mean, it beautifies our city, it protects the Port Neuf River, helps with wildlife habitat, provides recreational opportunities. I think this is a slam dunk.
Sounds good. And you had a question?
No.
No question after that, huh? He cleared everything up for you.
Take care of it.
Sounds good. I have a motion by Nichols and a second by Mangum. Wendy, could you please call the roll?
Yes.
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 Thank you. Agenda item 10, addendum to ITD cooperative agreement and resolution South Fifth ADA improvement project. Council may wish to adopt a resolution and approve an amendment to the cooperative agreement with Idaho Transportation Department and authorize the mayor's signature on all applicable documents subject to legal department review. The addendum will modify the cooperative agreement approved by council on May 20, 2021 for ADA ramps on South Fifth Avenue. Council President Cheatham.
Mr. Mayor, I'd move to approve the addendum to the ITD cooperative agreement and resolution for the South Fifth ADA improvements projects and authorize your signature on all applicable documents subject to legal department review.
Second.
We have a motion by Cheatham and a second by Mangum. Wendy, could you please call the roll?
Yes.
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 Thank you. Agenda item 11, transition of Time Clock Plus TCP for cloud-based software management. Council may wish to accept the recommendations of staff and approve an agreement with Central Square Technologies LLC for transition to the ongoing cloud-based management of Time Clock Plus timekeeping software, subject to legal department review. Cost for the transition to cloud-based services in the amount of $20,850 and ongoing maintenance fees in the amount of $34,200 will be funded through the Information Technologies IT Department.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
I would move to approve agenda item 11, subject to legal department review.
Second.
We have a motion by Mangum and a second by Mansfield. Wendy, could you please call the roll?
Yes.
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 Thank you. Agenda item 12, professional services agreement, Raftellus Financial Consultants Incorporated. Council may wish to approve a professional services agreement with Raftellus Financial Consultants Incorporated for the preparation of a current rate study for the amount not to exceed $124,970 and authorize the mayor's signature on all applicable documents, including change orders, subject to legal department review. The services provided will be a 5-year rate study to revise and update the previous study and will include rates for water pollution control, and sanitation services. Funds for the study have been budgeted in the department's funds.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes, Council President Cheatham.
Mr. Mayor, before I make a motion, I'd like to make a comment. I just read an article from the Idaho Statesman yesterday that talks about the problem the state of Idaho and various local jurisdictions have with maintaining systems such as our water and sewer and sanitation and all that. The estimate is there's over $1 billion in maintenance across the state that hasn't been kept up. And most local jurisdictions are having a real struggle coming up with required money to maintain especially their sewer and water systems, because they aren't doing these kind of estimates of what future costs are going to be. And I think doing something like this is incredibly future-sighted for this city to be looking at what it's going to take to maintain our systems before we get 30 or 40 or $50 million behind on the required maintenance to keep up with not only maintenance, but growth that's coming to the state of Idaho. So with that thought, I'd move for approval of the professional services agreement with Raftellus Financial Consultants as outlined in agenda item number 12.
Second.
We have a motion by Cheatham and a second by Mansfield. Wendy, could you please call the roll?
Yes.
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 Thank you. Agenda item 13, bid acceptance contract pickleball courts. Council may wish to consider the recommendations of staff for the following requests regarding the pickleball courts project. A, accept the low responsive bids and award the bids to the following. 1, Bigfoot, Idaho for surfacing and netting in the amount of $70,500. 2, Monroe Fence Incorporated for fencing in the amount of $33,895. And 3, Bear River Electric LLC for lighting in the amount of $106,667. And B, authorize the mayor's signature on all applicable documents subject to legal department review.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes.
I'd like to first say congratulations to Ms. Ann Butler for doing a fantastic job as our Parks and Rec Director and getting this kind of project going for our community. We need as much of this going on as possible. And so with that, I would move to approve agenda item 13, lists A and B as specified.
Second.
We have a motion by Mangum.
You almost
Just,
had it.
I don't know what happened, by Mangum there.
Almost a full
And then
meeting.
second by Nichols. Well, I was thinking to myself, you know, when we weren't doing this, we had this room full of pickleball people. And now that we're doing it, I would think they would be here cheering and clapping and thanking us, but I don't see anybody doing that. So just put that in the minutes, please, so I can send it to them.
I hope you get to hit the first pickleball.
I don't care if I hit the first one. I just wish that they were here saying, thank you, we appreciate all the work. But they're not. Hopefully Ann will get that from them. So with that being said, a motion by Mangum and a second by Nichols. Would you please call the roll?
Mango,
Yes.
Nichols,
Yes.
Cheatham,
Yes.
Mansfield,
Yes.
Marchand,
Yes.
Thank you. Agenda item 14, resolution to reject all bids, Ross Park Water Slide Project. Council may wish to accept the recommendations of staff and adopt a resolution rejecting all bids received in response to the Ross Park Water Slide solicitation and declare that the project can be performed more economically by purchasing goods and services on the open market pursuant to Idaho Code 67-2805.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
I would move that we adopt a resolution rejecting all bids received in response to the Ross Park Waterside solicitation and declare that the project can be performed more economically by purchasing goods and services on the open market pursuant to Idaho Code.
Second.
We have a motion by Mansfield and a second by Mangum. Wendy, could you please call the roll?
Mansfield,
Yes.
Mango,
Yes.
Cheatham,
Yes.
Marchand,
Yes.
Nichols,
Yes.
Thank you. Agenda item 15, resolution to reject all bids, OK Ward Park Splash Pad Project. Council may wish to accept the recommendations of staff and adopt a resolution rejecting all bids received in response to the OK Ward Park Splash Pad solicitation and declaring that the project can be performed more economically by purchasing goods and services on the open market pursuant to Idaho Code 67-2805.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
that actually should read, and I'm sorry I didn't catch this before, that should actually read 2806 on this particular agenda item.
28 pursuant to Idaho Code 67-2806.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
I would move that we adopt a resolution rejecting all bids received in response to the OK Ward Park Splash Pad solicitation and declare that the project can be performed more economically by purchasing goods and services on the open market pursuant to Idaho Code 67-2806.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion by Mansfield and a second by Mangum. Wendy, could you please call the roll?
Mansfield,
Yes.
Mango,
Yes.
Cheatham,
Yes.
Marchand,
Yes.
Nichols,
Yes.
Thank you. Agenda item 16, an ordinance amending Pocatello Municipal Code Title 13. I'm not going to read all of it, council, because all of it is the,
outlined.
as outlined, I should say, but it is the ordinance in itself, so it would be redundant. So, council, how do you wish to have this ordinance read?
Mr. Mayor, I move that ordinance agenda item 16 be read only by title and placed on final passage for publication, and that only the ordinance summary sheet be submitted for publication.
Second.
We have a motion by Mansfield and a second by Cheatham. Wendy, could you please call the roll?
Mansfield,
Yes.
Cheatham,
Yes.
Mango,
Yes.
Shan,
Yes.
Nichols,
Yes.
Thank you. Jared, could you please read the ordinance?
Yes, Mayor. An ordinance of the City of Pocatello, a municipal corporation of Idaho, amending Title 13, Chapter 28, Garbage and Refuse of the revised and compiled ordinances of the City of Pocatello, specifically amending sections 13.28.020, Garbage Collection Services, 13.28.030, Municipal Garbage and Refuse Collection and Disposal Service Compulsory, 13.28.060, Location of Collection Point, 13.28.080, Regulations for Garbage, Refuse Hauling, Hauling of Other Items, and Recycling Operations, 13.28.090, Containers, Storage Sites, Location of Collection Point, 13.28.130, Removal of Unapproved Containers, 13.28.140, Review of Customer Service, 13.28.170, Construction Debris and Household Hazardous Waste, 13.28.180, Unauthorized Material, 13.28.210, Suppression of Nuisances, 13.28.220, Interfering with Sanitation Superintendent, and 13.28.230, Fees, Rates, and Charges, to provide clarity to current policies and regulations associated with the City of Pocatello Sanitation Department, and providing that this ordinance shall be in full force and effect from and after its passage, approval, and publication according to law.
I declare that to be the final reading of the ordinance. Shall the ordinance pass?
Cheatham,
Yes.
Mangum,
Yes.
Mansfield,
Yes.
Marchand,
Yes.
Nichols,
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you very much for joining us tonight. And Council, you were absolutely correct. It was word for word on that last that ordinance. So thank you. With that, we are adjourned.